If I were an alien, I'd ignore you Earthlings too. A lot of people assume that if an alien civilization ever came to Earth, it would be here to steal resources, colonize humanity, or even start some movie-style interstellar war. But if you really understand the universe, because any civilization that can cross interstellar space to reach Earth is probably so advanced that Earth just isn't worth looking at. Why do I say that? Don't rush it. Let's do the math first. The nearest star to Earth, Proxima Centauri, is about 4.2 light-years away. Even in a ship that could travel at the speed of light, it would still take more than 4 years to get here. And according to Einstein's relativity, anything with rest mass can never actually reach light speed, let alone go faster than it. So if a civilization really did fly a spacecraft to Earth, then either they've mastered propulsion we can't even understand, like warp drive, wormholes, or some even more advanced space-time technology. People like to imagine aliens as a few hundred or a few thousand years ahead of us, but the real issue is that the universe is about 13.8 billion years old, while our solar system is only 4.6 billion years old. Human civilization has only been technological for a few. Civilization in the Milky Way appeared 100 million years before us. That's not just ahead of us. That's something we may not be able to comprehend. What does 100 million years even mean? The dinosaurs died out only about 66 million years ago. In other words, when dinosaurs were still walking around on Earth, that civilization might already have entered the interstellar age. And what if a civilization is a billion years ahead of us? That gap might be the gap between myth and reality. Now let's talk about resources. A lot of science fiction movies love the idea that aliens invade Earth to take gold, water, oil, or minerals. But on a cosmic scale, that setup doesn't really make sense. Elements like iron, nickel, oxygen, and carbon are extremely common in the universe. Gold is precious on Earth, but on some metal-rich asteroids, it can exist in huge amounts too. And gas giants like Jupiter and Saturn contain far more hydrogen and helium than Earth ever could. On top of that, the Milky Way has roughly 100 to 400 billion stars, and each one could have its own planetary system. So far, humans have confirmed thousands of exoplanets, and scientists estimate that the Milky Way alone may contain hundreds of billions of planets, among them, rocky planets and resource-rich bodies are countless. So for a civilization capable of interstellar travel, coming all the way to Earth to grab resources would be like a modern person sailing around the world just to raid an anthill for 1 grain of sand. It makes no sense. Some people might ask, what if they want to occupy Earth? But the problem is, a truly advanced civilization may not need the same living conditions we do. Earth's atmosphere, gravity, and temperature range are all shaped around life that evolved here. If alien life began on another planet, its biology could be completely different. An environment that feels habitable to us might be full of poison to them. It's like humans wouldn't build cities on the ocean floor just because the deep sea is great for fish. And if they really have the ability to terraform planets, then changing an empty world would be much easier than launching a war across light years. Besides, in the universe, what's truly scarce has never been resources. It's energy and technology. Once a civilization can harness the energy of an entire star, Earth's little pile of resources really doesn't amount to much. The astronomer Freeman Dyson proposed an idea called a Dyson Sphere. Put simply, it's a giant structure built around a star to collect the energy the star gives off. The sun releases every second energy equal to hundreds of thousands of times humanity's current yearly consumption. If a civilization can already tap stellar energy directly, why would it cross countless light years to Earth for a few mines and some oil? To them, Earth's wealth may be as ordinary as a few rocks. What might truly interest them isn't resources at all, but life itself. Think about why humans study animals. It isn't to steal what they have, it's to understand life, study evolution, and explore nature. In the same way, if a higher civilization came to Earth, observation is more likely than conquest. They might see Earth as a natural laboratory, recording how a young civilization moves step by step from a primitive society into a technological age. They may even have known about us for a long time, but simply have no interest in making contact. A lot of people think that sounds arrogant, but think about it. Humans step over countless ants every day. Would you stop and discuss mathematics with them? Would you explain the internet, quantum mechanics, or relativity to them? No, not because ants are bad, but because the cognitive gap is so huge that communication loses its meaning. To a civilization millions or even hundreds of millions of years ahead of us, we may be in a similar position. Of course, that doesn't mean they would never help us. If a highly developed civilization really follows some kind of ethics, they're more likely to act like wildlife conservationists, minimize interference, and let a civilization grow according to its own rules, because they would know very well that any forced premature kind of help could destroy the natural development of a civilization. This idea actually lines up with some views that scientists have discussed. One is the so-called cosmic zoo hypothesis. They know Earth exists, and they know humans exist, but they deliberately keep their distance, just as humans set up nature reserves without interfering with every wild animal. Maybe there are no alien civilizations at all. Maybe they're too far away. Maybe they died out long ago. Or maybe, in some distant galaxy, they're looking at their own sky and asking the exact same questions we are. But if one day in the future an alien spacecraft really appears in Earth's orbit, then I actually think the last thing humanity needs to worry about is whether they've come to steal our resources. Because the ability to cross such a vast universe and arrive here already means they possess technology, energy, and productive capacity far beyond Earth's. To a civilization like that, Earth's minerals, gold, oil, and maybe even the entire solar system are just one ordinary set of objects among countless others in the cosmos. What might truly make them stop was never resources, but the fact that here, a form of intelligent life was born, one that can look up at the stars and keep asking where it came from and where it is going. In our own eyes, we may feel we're standing at the peak of civilization, but against 13.8 billion years of cosmic history and among endless stars, we may still be only a child that has just learned to look up at the sky. The real universe is far greater than we imagine, and truly advanced civilizations are far harder to understand than the aliens in movies. Because when a civilization is powerful enough to cross the sea of stars, the very things it lacks least are the things we think are most precious. What may truly be rare is not resources, but the whole journey of a civilization moving from ignorance to wisdom, from gazing at the stars to understanding the universe.